Well, as part of the South Today's local body elections coverage, we're also profiling the candidates standing for Mayor in Invercargill. And tonight, Hollie Buchanan brings you the first of our interviews with the three candidates.
Joining me now, standing for the Mayor of Invercargill, Karen Arnold. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Hollie.
So tell us first, why are you running for the mayoralty?
Well, I've had a long-standing passion for local government and the Invercargill City Council, going back to my days as a journalist for the Southland Times. So I used to cover the City Council round, and I did several investigations into council affairs. I won 2 national media awards for that. And so my interest in the council has been for the past 15 or so years. I'm a councillor, and now, having spent 3 years on the council, I think it's time that there was a fresh leadership, an injection of youth, and I really want to lead the city into a brighter future.
What leadership experience can you bring to the table?
Well, I think as soon as you're elected to council, you're straight away a community leader. And so I've had my 3 years not only as a councillor debating around the table, but I have chaired meetings before, including a joint committee involving representatives from the Southland District, Gore District and the Invercargill City Councils. So I think naturally I'm a leader, but I also have that experience, especially from the past 3 years.
What do you see as the top 2 issues currently facing the Invercargill City Council?
For me, there's a distinct 2 issues. The first one is I really want to see a culture change throughout the entire council organisation. So we've got the longest serving mayor of any city, we've got a very long serving chief executive, and we've got a councillor who's been on council since 1974. We haven't had a change in leadership this century. And so when you've got people that have been entrenched in the organisation for so long, you've got an attitude of, this is how we do things. You know, you conform, you fit in. If you don't, you know, you won't have. And so I think it's time that we have an injection of new leadership so that we can go forward and be a better council. The other issue that we are facing is that in February 2018, our incumbent chief executive's contract comes to an end. And so within the first 18 months of the next council term, we could be looking at employing a new chief executive. And whether the incumbent wants reappointed or not, we don't know at this stage. But I think if we want to attract the right calibre of candidate for that role, then we need to present ourselves as a modern, people and future-focused council so that will attract the right candidate.
What do you consider to be the core functions of the Invercargill City Council?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I think if you look back to the Christchurch earthquakes, when everything, you know, is devastated, you look at what core functions have to be put on, and so you're looking at your sewerage and your water supplies. So those are the 2 most important things, and it's once you've got those things that really affect people's lives and health and well-being that you then begin to build again. So I think if you look at things like that, then our core functions are our infrastructure, which takes up 80% of our budgets anyway, and it's only when those core services are being met and run properly that you can start, you know, thinking outside and developing more. So I think that's a good example of what our priorities should be.
How do you feel the current council is performing?
Well, we finished up for the last time on Tuesday. It was my first term, and I think when I went on, I was sort of like, you know, gung-ho, and I really wanted to make a difference. And I may have been regarded as a bit of an assertive, aggressive person, but I did my own personal learning, and I've learnt to work collaboratively with my colleagues. And I think we had an understanding that you could have a good debate around the council chamber, but that didn't have to flow on into communications afterwards. So I think in terms of how we functioned, there was we had mutual respect for each other, and I thought it was good.
As Mayor, what would you do differently?
As Mayor, well, quite frankly, I'd be full-time. I think the role deserves that. I think the remuneration package reflects that it should be a full-time role. I would have a proper office with a desk and a chair and maybe a computer terminal and a phone. And I think I would be more engaged into the day-to-day presence at council, and I think I would be a stronger leader at council table, and also be more involved in setting targets and expectations for our Chief Executive.
What do you consider to be the core function of the Mayor?
Well, I think there's two main things. Of course, the Mayor is the figurehead of both the council and the city. And so you have that promotional aspect where you must promote the city for the good of the city. But as well, you are the chair of the board. You're the Mayor of the council. And I think you have a responsibility and obligations to be a strong leader for your councillors as well.
Do you have the skills to lead the council?
I think I do, and I don't think I'd stand if I didn't. And those skills are different for a lot of things, because at the end of the day we're local government politicians, and so you need to be a politician. And that requires different skills to, say, running a business or being the chair of a board, because we've got to influence our colleagues to get, decisions over the line. So, I've learnt to schmooze when I've needed to, and I've learnt to niggle away at councillors, my colleagues. You have to do that in politics just to get the outcome that you want.
Where do you think Invercargill's future lies?
Well, Invercargill's future is always tied to the rural community. So as a city we do rise and fall depending on how well our rural sector's doing. So when dairying's doing good, for example, we boom. And so I think Invercargill, along with Southland, we have to have a diverse economy, and we need to be able to still survive when the lows come about. And so I think Invercargill's future is one where we are innovative, and I think those outcomes will come through the Southland Regional Development Strategy, which will be unveiled in the next couple of months.
What do you love about Invercargill?
Well, I'm an Invercargill girl, so I just love the people, and I love the pace of life, and I love how we can access most anything that you need to have a good life, but it's only ever 5 or 10 minutes drive away.
Why should Invercargill ratepayers and residents vote for you?
Well, I'm fresh blood, but I'm experienced in local government, and I think that's really important. I don't think you can be mayor and spend the first 3 years learning the ropes of local government, because it's really complex. And again, my desire is genuine. It comes from within, and so I think I've got the credentials, I've got the background, and I've got the youth and the vision for the future.
Karen Arnold, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Hollie.